everybody, I'm here today with Adam Simpson from Silkstone Consultants in the latest in our Smart Start series, and we're chatting all things corporate finance and startups and so on.
That's right.
Welcome, Adam.
Thank you very much. Nice to see you.
And you. So as a startup, I know back to when we first set up, I guess we didn't have a lot of startup costs really because it was mostly about paying for our time, but in terms of approaching the world of finance, what should startups be thinking about?
Yeah, I think from my point of view, the first 12 months is the most important.
Yeah.
So any startup business, whatever industry that they are in, needs to really plan out what they want to achieve in that first 12 months.
Yeah.
Because I think that, from their point of view then, will intertwine with the funding and cash flow that they require month on month.
Yeah.
Any startup for that first few months will be absolutely imperative in the cash flow.
Yeah.
So, you know, whether it's the wages for the staff, whether it's buying supplies in order to fulfill orders,
Yeah.
or indeed just some ad hoc costs.
Yeah.
I think that cash flow for any startup business in the first few months is absolutely imperative.
Okay. And would you sometimes be engaging with people before they start up?
Yes, absolutely.
Like that?
Yeah. So most startups will have some type of short business plan on what they're looking to do, with potentially, if they spoke to their accountant, some numbers that they put together. So even before they've started, whether it's myself or another advisor or broker, I would highly recommend that they do speak to somebody in respect of what is actually out there for them.
Okay.
Different funding, different products, because once they've started on day one, they'll be busy.
Yeah, of course they will. Yeah, doing something, whatever it is. So from your point of view, if you go and see somebody either pre-startup or very early startup, what are the conversations about? What are you looking to find out from them?
So I'm looking to understand of where they're going to take that business over this next 12 months. What aspirations do they have? What current orders have they got? And what does their pipeline expectancy look like?
Okay.
That will then lead into what cash flow that they need for supplies, wages, etc.
Yeah.
And then from there, what we can look at in respect to the performance or forecast business turnover is actually what funding, what type of funding fits their business.
Yeah.
So if it's a particular courier, as an example, then they're going to be looking at certain vans, so they might need some asset finance.
Okay.
If it's something completely different as a business or an industry that may be in construction, they'll probably having to pay for more upfront, which means we need to look at some type of cash flow loan.
Okay.
So really depends on the type of industry, which is why it's important that they do talk to different advisors to make sure that they understand what fits their business.
Okay. And I think a lot of us maybe naively think, well, I'll speak to my accountant and I'll go to the bank.
Yeah. And that happens most of the time.
Yeah.
And I think the high street banks are really good in certain situations, but you do have to fit their criteria.
Yes.
If you don't fit their criteria, where do you turn?
Okay.
And I think that's the hardest thing for a startup.
Yeah.
Where do they turn?
Yeah.
So whether that is speaking to someone like yourself, myself, or even their accountants, because we've got a network of people that we can introduce them to.
Yeah.
So I think it's important that even if one funder says no, actually there are other options out there.
Okay.
If you look over the last 10, 15 years, the number of funders that are available for SMEs, startups now is just incredible.
Really?
So just because one funder says no does not mean that all funders are going to say no.
Okay. And are there any risks with some of these lesser known funders, or are they all very perfectly credible, or is that your job, advise which ones are and which ones aren't?
Yeah, I think that does come into it. Okay. The one thing I do see quite a lot, especially startup businesses, is that they'll Google certain things, which is understandable because we all do that. However, if you're going for a certain loan, I always think, do your own research, but make sure you talk to a professional advisor in respect of who are good, bad, or indifferent. That might be just a coffee meeting, but it's so important that you just don't go with the first thing that you find online. Yeah.
Okay. Good advice. As you say, cash is king in first 12 months. So what sort of products are there to help people sort of manage cash flow? How does that work?
Yeah, there's numerous products nowadays, whether that is a standard loan, an overdraft, some type of invoice finance, asset finance. But again, coming back to talking about your business, actually what industry are you in and what product fits that?
Okay.
And this is why I think it's really important to talk to advisors to understand actually where is your business going to be to see which product actually fits your business the best.
Okay. And what are, I suppose, other chances that people just won't get finance as a startup? Because I guess that could be a lot of people's worry as well.
Potentially. However, what I would say is there are a number of government schemes now where there is help available.
Yeah.
And I think that by talking to people, advisors, myself, yourself, those then become avenues that do open up.
Yeah.
Rather than just going to one particular funder.
Yeah.
Actually, by talking to an advisor, you actually then open other doors to find out what other types of funding is available.
Right, okay. Yeah, because there's quite a lot of, I guess, government sort of focused business support, isn't there, out there now?
And there's certain startup loans as well that are available by specific lenders.
Yeah.
They're not available by every lender, but by certain lenders, they concentrate on startup loans for certain businesses.
Yeah, okay. What have you seen? Do you see a lot of startups? I know we hear that there's a lot of startups in South Yorkshire, but is that something you've come across?
Yeah, I think in the 8 years that I've had my own business, what I would say is that it kind of goes in a state of flux.
Okay.
I don't think it has anything to do with the seasons, but I do think that when people have got certain confidence, that they want to start their own business, and I think some of that is probably tied to the UK economy.
Yeah.
I do think at the moment, this last 6 months, there has been more people looking to start their own business, and indeed looking for finance.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think there has definitely been, over the last 8 years that I've had my own business, a definite increase year on year in respect to people opening their own businesses.
Yeah, that's interesting. I also wonder whether when there's a downturn and people are more unsure whether they're going to keep their job, whether that's maybe a trigger, or if there's a redundancy payment or something like that, they think trigger, maybe now's the time to do it,
Yeah. Well, normally, I think for most people, as starting their own business, there is normally some type of event. So whether that is sadly redundancy from their existing job, but I think sometimes maybe it leaves a little bit of a nudge for certain people to start
a life event or something happening,
or change in circumstances.
Yes,
and I do think that then with a number of people will give them that nudge to actually go for it themselves.
Yeah.
So
very good. Are there any sort of no-nos or things you'd recommend people don't do, or is it just very much talk to your professional advisors first?
I think the no-nos are don't rush sometimes.
Okay.
Actually take a step back, slow down and talk to certain advisors.
Yeah.
I think when we all start our own business, we try to do everything.
We do, yeah.
And I think the one thing both of us would probably say is that actually you are so busy running your own business, it is sometimes better to just take a step back, talk to somebody and say, is this going in the right direction? I don't make too many rash decisions, I would say, in the first few months.
Yeah. I think probably when we started, I was guilty of doing too much, trying to do everything. You do all the accounts, do all the marketing, wash the pots, etc., hoover the carpet. And sometimes you think, well, it's too expensive to ask somebody for help in that area, or it's too expensive to outsource that. But actually, when you flip on its head, the time that you get back, it is an investment, isn't it?
It is, and I think most advisors, us two included, would always do it. The first meeting for free in any case.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So you're picking somebody's brains that's been doing that for within their own industry.
Yeah.
For they've got experience of probably 25 years.
Yeah.
So, and the one thing I would say is that when people have their own business, they are really willing to help other people that have their own business.
Yeah.
And that would be one thing that I would say that, especially compared to being in the corporate world, startups, people with their own business really want to help other people with their own business.
Yeah.
Would you echo that?
I would. I think when I look back at that, like our first 12 months, similar to what you were saying, is we had a restrictive covenant, we had no brand identity, nothing. You've got to establish everything from scratch, haven't you?
Yeah.
And the number of people that were like, "Oh wow, you set up on your own. That's amazing. Well done. Let's how can we help you?" People do want to support you.
Did.
And I think it's particularly in South Yorkshire, a lot of people like to do business locally.
They do,
and they do want to support a local business rather than a big corporate.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, so I'd echo that.
Good.
Brilliant. Yeah.
Thank you.
No, thank you, Adam. Really helpful. I hope you all found that really interesting. I know I did. And we'll catch you again next time. Bye-bye.